Welcome back to 33-year-old boomer ranting in the snow, ranting in the woods. Stop. You're doing too much. Let's talk about it. You see, there's a trait that creative, smart people have. And this is something that exists across disciplines, across the spectrum. And that is that smart, creative people tend to not get a lot done. You know, if you've ever watched Limitless, the film is a bit normie-core, but it's pretty good, right? There's that meme of, oh, I'm a writer. I'm actually writing a book. It's actually about the juxtaposition between society and the individual. It's like, yeah. Like, there's people like, it's all like that. It's people who have been working on this book for like 15 years and it's never going to get done. You don't want to be that person. For example, when I was writing my first sci-fi novel, Protectorate, I was very aware of this meme. I was very, very conscious. I didn't really bring it up to many people. My dad, my father knew that I was writing it. A couple of friends knew that I was writing it, but that was it. And the reason why is because I desperately did not want to be this, hey, I'm writing a book. It's doing well, it's doing fine, it's going well. Meanwhile, you haven't written 2 pages. I didn't want to be that person. And so I kept it kind of private, kind of personal, kept it very sort of close circle. And I didn't talk about it too often. I spoke about it very, very rarely. And typically whenever it was at a pivotal moment before it was to be released. And I talked about it when it was like a quarter done, halfway done, and then when it was done. I didn't want to fall in this meme of never getting this book done. Now, the reason why this happens, the reason why we tend to fall in this trap sometimes, is because big-brained creative people, we have a tendency to have a lot of interests. You see, whenever we do something, we tend to get good at it very quickly. For example, I haven't spoken about this in the video yet, but a few days ago I started a 30-day art challenge where I'm challenging myself to see how good can I get at art, at illustration. Now, the reason why I will succeed at this, whilst most people do not, is because I have a goal in mind. You see, the reason why I've started doing illustration is because I want to illustrate my own books. I have all this imagery in my head that I want to put onto paper. And I want to do it myself, which is a bit of a trap. You have to be careful with that, because you can be I do everything myself and then it takes 70 years to do anything, right? And this is part of the trap. I'm rambling a little bit, but read between. I'm rambling a little bit, but read between the lines, right? You have to be careful because the creative, autistic people, we tend to have a million interests, and we want to think that we can do everything ourselves. And so, you work on the video game, you're doing the coding, you're doing the game design, you're doing the graphics, you're doing the music, you're doing the sound. And while that's doable on very small projects, like Minecraft, for example, even though Notch didn't do the music, or at least on a project that can start out small and you can monetize it and then you can build a team, right? Because Minecraft, I played Minecraft back in like 2008, 2009, when it was an alpha. The game wasn't that complicated. They didn't even have name tags for items. You had to kind of figure out you had to Google recipes and stuff. Very fun times. But that was a relatively small, manageable project that could be done by a person. And in fact, it was 2 people because the music was a different person. And so that was a well-managed small autistic project that one person or two people could do. However, we tend to branch out and do too many things, right? Like, because anything that I do, I just get good at very quickly. You know, like if I start to write and I practice and I get good at it. If I start to program, I get good at it. If I start to do art, I get good at it. If I play guitar, I played guitar when I was a teenager, got very good at it. So I have all these skills, making me an interestingly sort of rounded individual. And not just because I'm fat. That's another rounding. That's a different kind of rounding, right? It makes me kind of interesting. But at the same time, it's very difficult for me. Like, I don't have much to show for my 20s. Because my 20s were spent working on a bunch of different projects that never went anywhere. Because I was biting off more than I could chew. Because I was falling into this trap. And so this time around, I'm doing it a bit differently. This time around, I'm prioritizing certain skills. I am specifying a timeline, and I'm being very careful with how much time I allocate to each task. So right now, I'm getting better at programming. For example, right now I'm working on a spell checker in C. I'm designing it. I know that there are well-known algorithms for this, like the distance algorithm is something, MUN distance algorithm. I haven't looked it up. And the reason, because I'm much like with Ruka, with my text compression algorithm, I want to see what can I do if I had to invent it myself. That's the fun, you see, it's thinking, that's the fun bit. Even if in the future we have flying cars and AI agents that actually work, even if you're forced to use them, you can at least retain the thinking aspect, the problem-solving aspect, right? And so I'm working on spell checker. That's the programming aspect. I'm writing more books. Right now I'm writing the second book in the series, and I'm writing a short story, which is all in the same universe. I'm hoping to get this short story published through one of these nerd sci-fi magazines, like Clark's World, because I can say, "Hey, I'm published." Now, there is a certain level of pride and joy that would come from, like, other, like sci-fi editors going, "Hey, that's good enough to put in our publication. Well done." So I'm working on that. I'm working on my health. I'm eating better. I'm going for walks every day. If you've been checking out my pinned comments for the past month, you've been seeing my eating log and that kind of stuff. And I'm doing the art. And the art is very narrow. I don't want to learn how to paint. I don't want to learn how to do realistic renders. I don't necessarily want to learn how to draw from imagination. I'm happy to use references. But I want to get my illustration skills to a point where I can put them in my book and people can go, "Wow, that's really good." And so that's a very attainable skill. I've given myself 1 month of daily practice. Once the month is over, I'll make a video showcasing my progress. A bit of inspiration, productivity inspiration, even though I'm kind of speaking out against productivity in this video. And I want to see how good I can get at art in a month's time. I'm not starting from zero. When I was a kid, I used to draw all the time. I would copy stuff from comic books, from my Batman comic books. Yeah, that's right. Superman was for normies. DC was for the real ones. You know, I draw Batman, I draw like Disney characters and stuff. And then I stopped because I didn't have a goal. I mean, the goal as a 5-year-old was just to have fun, just draw Goofy and draw Esmeralda from Hunchback of Notre Dame. But I didn't have a goal, and that was part of the problem, right? But now I have a goal. Now I have a very specific goal. My goal is to get good enough. It's not to become world class. It's not to become a master. It's not to become Da Vinci level artist. My goal is to get good so that I can have good illustrations in my own book so that I can show my vision of what these worlds that I'm building in words look like in my head. And in a month's time, I'm going to see, okay, where am I at? Is this, like, how much progress have I made in a month? And you will be part of the judges. You'll help judge my progress. And then after the month's passed, I'm going to go, okay, where am I at? How good am I? How many more months do I have to invest to get to where I need to be? And you see, this is far more manageable than going, oh, I like art, I'm going to do some art. Oh, I like music, I'm going to do some music. Oh, I like archery, I'm going to do some archery. Like, you should be very careful with how far you extend yourself. Because especially in times where, like, there are times where I'm super energetic and optimistic and like, I can do everything. And I'll pick up like 10 different creative habits or whatever. And then 4 days in, I'm tired. Right? And so you have to be very careful. And so you have to be very judicious. You have to be very careful with how you allocate this time. For drawing, I'm allocating 15 to 30 minutes a day, maybe 45 minutes some day, in which I draw. I do exercises, I practice the basics, I do circles and I cut them into pieces, and I do cylinders and cubes and stuff, because everything in art can be broken down into spheres, cylinders, and cubes essentially. And so I'm practicing, and so I want to get really good at drawing those, and then I can start doing more stuff in 3D or whatever, right? But the first step is this month. I want to see how good I can get. And this is manageable. This is doable. And so I urge you, dear viewer, be very careful with how many things you put on your plate. Be very careful. You have to be very miserly with your time. Do not give it away. Be very, very careful with it. Because you can, if you're like me, you can be very generous with your time, and then you realize, oh no, I don't have this time. And so stop. And make sure that you make progress. Make sure that instead of doing 7 different things and making 0 progress, because you feel like you're working a lot every day, but because you're working on 7 different things, you're not making any real progress and you have nothing to show for it. And having something to show for it is a huge psychological component. It's so heartening when I look at my GitHub and I see that I have projects, and I know, yes, that time that I have that's limited, that some of it was allocated in these projects, and I can look at them and I can go, this is pretty cool. But if you work on 10 different things, you can work your butt off every day and never have anything to show for it. Anyway, I'm doing a 3,000 subscriber Q&A video. If you want to ask me any questions about anything, my life, my setup, what I'm up to, whatever, leave them down below. And I'll, assuming the question isn't too super edgy, I'll feature it in a video. See you in the next one. Bye-bye.